I vowed to use my sexual energy for love, creativity, abundance, and healing. There's so many different positions you can do, which hit so differently, and just let your eyes roll to the back of your head. Hello, my fellow Earth Angels. Thank you so much for being here and joining me today. I wanted to drop into yet another conversation around sex and sexuality. And as we get into this, I just want to remind you, as I do in a lot of these videos, that the way that you feel about sex is not permanent. The kind of sex that you're having right now is not the only kind of sex that you may have in your whole life. And to take a deep breath in this moment and make space for all possibilities, for the restructuring of your own beliefs around sexuality, and making space for so much pleasure and purity and playfulness within your sexual experiences. And the reason that I really like sharing these videos is because I got so used to sex being a certain way that wasn't fulfilling, that made me feel used, that made me feel anxious or guilty or shameful after, and I have been accessing deeper levels of intimacy with my own sexuality, with myself, when I share it with others, and it feels like this transformative practice and this deep well of infinite creativity and potential. I've also just always loved talking about sex, so I wanted to dive into more energetic or spiritual ways to start having better sex now, and then also just some of the anatomy and different positions that I like doing. So I'm gonna have some timestamps on the timeline below and just in the comments, so if you want to skim through and find something in particular, it'll be a little bit easier for you. I personally love writing about my sexual experiences, so something that I started doing was I have like a fantasy journal, and I write down in detail all of my favorite lovemaking sessions, and I get so turned on thinking about it. It just makes my mind, I like tap into my imagination, and I also write down experiences that I've had with myself that were really deep and potent, the aspects that are starting to feel really good, the aspects that I've healed, different positions that just felt so good. And it's just like a catalog of all of my favorite sexual experiences that you can also do with a partner, so sharing with them your favorite sexual experiences together. I love this idea because you can tell them what they're doing good without telling them what they're doing bad, and just telling them what to do more of rather than what to do less of, although that's completely valid too. But I think that a lot of people in relationships, like, you have really good sex, but you don't always talk about it after, you don't always share like what was good about it. For most of my life, I didn't have really open dialogue about sex with the person I was sleeping with. It was mostly with my friends afterwards. It feels really good to just be open to the details of what felt really good that they were doing, the way they were touching you, the motion of their hands as they were rubbing you, you know, where you like them to bite and nibble on your body, and allows you as a couple to deepen into your desires and fantasies, and is a safe space to express what you really like and enjoy, and just makes you excited to be more kinky and pleasure the other person even more. And going along with this, I think it is really hot to send your partner videos of things that you really like. If there's a video that you watch all the time that really turns you on, send it to your partner. And I recommend sending it to them and not watching it together, because sometimes when you're watching with a partner, you can feel a little embarrassed or a little bit like shy about what they're watching, and maybe they will feel pressured to try to do that exact thing to you in the moment. But if you send it to them when you guys are apart, they have time to like really watch it, have their own reaction to it. And I also like the idea of more positively affirming your partner. Like, that feels really good. Keep doing that with your tongue, or I love when you touch me right there, or I got so wet when you ate me out for an hour before we had sex. You know, really telling them all the things they're doing so right. Share your sexual needs in a way that makes them excited to bring you more pleasure, rather than just makes them feel like they can't do anything right. Also, make space for everything that comes up during lovemaking. If you need to cry a little bit, if you need to moan, if you just want to scream, if you want to let out guttural, just deep moans within you, and just let your eyes roll to the back of your head and just pulse on them as you're coming to a climax. I mean, these are just some things that I do, but absolutely anything that wants to be set free during sex, please to make space for that and honor that and allow that inner wildness to come out when you're being fully enraptured without fear. And I think that it's so beautiful, like not holding back anything during sex, because it is such a high vibrational, potent, intimate, vulnerable state. When I actually do those things that feel so natural and so full of pleasure, I feel like I am of service to my spirit, and that every part of me is just happy and satisfied in not holding back. And I think that this is just a really great thing to deepen into with a partner who you're seeing consistently, is just allowing yourself to get lost in the bliss and pleasure of lovemaking. All the moans, all the sounds, like everything, all the dirty talk that you want to let out without fear. Letting your inner freak crawl out. I feel like that's really what it is. Also, the throat and the yoni are really connected. When women are giving birth, it's really helpful for them to have their mouths open, humming instead of teeth clenched, because that can make it harder for the baby to come out. And I like to think of this in sex too. When my mouth is open, when I'm using my throat, my yoni is more open and more receptive and isn't as constricted. So that's just something I like to think about sometimes. And anytime that I use my voice really throughout the day, not just moaning, I feel like an openness and an ease within my body. Next, make your sexual experiences intentional with yourself or with a partner, especially if you've been with someone for a while, and especially with yourself because you've been with yourself your whole life. Put out the softest sheets on your bed, light all the candles, put chocolates on your bed, have your favorite erotica and lube and your favorite sex toy, and really treat yourself and pleasure yourself and take your time. And same thing goes with a partner. You can just randomly surprise them and tell them exactly what you want them to do to you. If you want them to bite and kiss and nibble on your body from head to toe and take your lingerie off with their mouth. I think that's really hot. It's almost like having a theme to this sexual exchange too. Like tonight I am dominating you and I'm telling you everything that I want you to do to me, or you can tie them up and have them do that and just kind of play out your fantasies, or just do your normal lovemaking session, but make it intentional. You know, it's so easy, especially in partnership, to just wake up and have like morning sex every other day or at night and just always having sex in the same place without changing things up or making things fun. And that's kind of a different tip, is try not to have sex in the same place all the time. Having sex in different locations, there's so many different positions you can do, which hit so differently and feel so good and are just fun new experiences to keep your sex life feeling juicy and spontaneous. Only have sex when you really want to, when you're just aching for it with every cell of your body, and not having sex out of obligation, even in a long-term partnership. And I know that that can be hard, especially if you're having a dry spell or you're just going through your own processes and haven't been horny for days. Like, it's okay to honor your body. It's okay to stop 5 minutes into sex. And if anything too intense comes up or you just don't want it anymore, you're allowed to stop having sex, and honoring the wisdom of your heart and of your body and of your womb. The moment-to-moment awareness, your moment-to-moment yeses and nos are so valid and deserve to be expressed. And the more that you practice that, also the more that you teach other people that they can do the same thing. You can be touched and moaning and wet and still not want to have sex with the person who's touching you and turning you on. Sometimes I just want to cuddle, or sometimes I just want to be touched, or sometimes I just want my neck to be bitten, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I want to go all the way. And releasing any expectation for myself to want to have sex, it just feels really good, not forcing your sexual energy in any way. And along with that, I think it can be really potent to set an intention for your sexual energy, not just when you're about to come, but overall writing in your journal, I vow to use my sexual energy for love, creativity, abundance, and healing, and nothing less. I vow to honor the wisdom of my heart and of my body in sexual exchanges. I vow to honor my sacred yeses and sacred nos. And writing things out and affirming them really helps you to put them into practice and will anchor you back into that truth when you feel like, I could just not honor my intuition right now. And I wanted to get more into the physical aspects of having sex. So something I love to do when I'm about to come or my partner is about to come is just touch all over their body and help them to bring awareness to spreading their sexual energy and carrying that energy through to the rest of their body. So when I am coming, I feel like that explosive sexual energy that's just a flame erupting into a fire just all throughout my body, up my spine, up into my crown. I can't stop laughing and just giggling and just feeling so full. And I really like it when the person that I'm seeing just touches my whole body all over as I'm just like convulsing in pleasure. For anyone with a yoni, or for anyone who's having sex with someone who has a yoni, the clitoris actually has these kind of legs, if you will, that extend beyond just the clit, and they extend into the labia and into the G-spot, and that's why when you're massaging the clit, it makes the whole vagina moist and can sometimes make the G-spot a little bit more swollen or sensitive. It's because it's all connected, and it literally feels like my yoni is inviting someone inside of me when there is a lot of foreplay and my heart feels safe. When it's not fully aroused, it can feel painful and more tense because it hasn't fully expanded. Also, there's not enough lubrication. It just makes a huge difference to really take time to make the yoni kind of invite you in. But I wanted to share some positions that I've been really enjoying that you can do with a strap on or just having penetrative sex in any way, shape, or form. I put my elbows on top of the mattress of the bed, which is like 3 feet off of the ground, and I was just kind of stretching, you know, my butt was out, and then they came behind me and slid into me, and I just started bouncing my butt up and down onto them using the bed as leverage, and it felt so good. So I'm gonna try and find an image of what I'm talking about here. But yeah, your arms are basically on the bed. It can be really comfortable, and you're just leaning back with it and using your thighs to lift you up and down. I had access to rub my clit. They could rub my clit also. It felt so good to just bounce back and to look back at it and to have them pull my hair and bite my neck. That's honestly one of my new favorite positions. If you have a table that's maybe like waist height, it is really nice, even if you're having sex in bed, to stand up and go to that table and be bent over that table and to put one leg on the table as you're getting penetrated from behind. Also, once again, just shaking your butt onto it. I feel like there are some positions where it's easier to kind of jiggle your booty and kind of twerk your butt on and off, up and down. And that's one of them, where you're just kind of like moving your thigh as you're getting thrusted into. And then if you want to bring that leg down, you can just have both legs down and be penetrated from behind that way. I think that part of the body is so beautiful. Just that line, that arc of the back down to the butt cheeks. Really nice, and is something that I would definitely do verse as a bisexual woman. Next, I wanted to talk about being on the couch. So if your partner is sitting down, you have your heels on the couch. You're either to the left side of the head or the right side of their head, and you put your elbows on the back of the couch. It's kind of like this, like sitting on them from behind. I've been learning how much I love being on top, and I think that for so much of my life I felt kind of nervous or self-conscious about it. I've just been having so much fun exploring that and feeling so confident and free, I guess. And I think that the motivation almost for me to feel pleasure overrides any negative thoughts that I could have about my body when I look down on it, or if I'm doing things right, or if it looks good to them. Another position that feels so good, so activating to the G-spot and also to the clitoris. It's similar to the position when you're on top and you're just riding and you're kind of scooting back and forth, and that's just really rubbing that top wall of your yoni, and also their skin or their pelvis is simultaneously pleasuring and stimulating your clit. It's just like that, but sideways. So you're lying on the bed, they're on their knees, and your pelvis is meeting their pelvis. Their hands are on your hips, and they're just lifting your hips up and down as they look down on you. So stimulating in every way possible, and I highly just recommend you try this one, because I literally feel like I'm going to come within 2 seconds of getting into this position. It just feels so good and satisfying on every single level. Another thing that I've been doing is using the wall anytime. One of my favorite positions is just being spooned, and they're behind me and my butt is kind of just gently falling back onto them. I really like positions that you can sustain the stroke for a long time. And something that I love even more is to use the wall to like push against with my leg, or to put my hands on the wall and to just balance my whole lower body. And I think that it's really fun to just use whatever props that you have around to put your hands on, experimenting and getting in different positions that might feel really good. And those are just some of the newer positions that I have really been enjoying. I just wanted to say that I have been exploring my yoni so much on my own, and I think that's part of where this new activated sense of commitment to myself and to my creativity and to my authentic voice and expression is coming from. And this new wave of empowerment, this opening and stepping into myself has been coming from is really cultivating so much time alone with my sexual energy, doing yoni mapping. I have a crystal that I use, but I really like doing this as a form of yoni mapping and massaging all the different sides of my yoni. So going in on the top and just rubbing it intentionally on the top wall and seeing what comes up for me and taking my time and breathing into that sensation, and then doing the same thing all throughout my yoni. Because I notice sometimes during sex, like this, the top wall being massaged feels really good. Sometimes the bottom wall being massaged, it like brings up a lot of memories. Or sometimes if it's being hit from the left side, I'm like, ooh, I don't know what's coming up there. Like so many different things can come up during sex, and I really feel like our yonis store memories and our wombs store energy, and to do clearing work with yourself is so potent. And that's what I've been doing. I feel like my vagina's out right now while I'm doing this, but truly taking time to sit with and be present for all that comes up through the different points of the yoni. And you can see the yoni as a clock and checking in at all these different time points and seeing what lingers there, having the intention of releasing. And like I always mention in these sex videos, like knowing how to pleasure yourself makes it so much easier to share that pleasure with a partner or to teach them how to pleasure you. And also having permission to make all the noise or to let the tears out or to moan and to move your body in any contortion that feels good. Doing that alone also helps you to bring that practice and that sense of liberation into the bedroom. Like, oh yeah, I know my body. I know what it can do. I know the sounds that want to come out, and I've let those sounds out with myself, so I feel way more comfortable letting those out with you to be witnessed and seen. The never-ending potential and expansion and sensuality and pleasure that I have yet to experience really excites me, and that everyone can tap into. It just feels so good, and I feel like everyone has their own little tools to unlock within them sexually, and also traumas to unlock and release. And there's so much space within us to feel pleasure and joy and rapture and creativity and healing with our sexual energy. And I get so excited when I hear other people doing this work too, because it really does feed into everything that we do. Anytime that I have been single, I have felt so excited to be with myself, to reclaim myself, to be untamed, and to welcome my wildness, and to be almost unforgiving and unrelenting in the depth at which I accept and express myself. And by this I mean any boundary that needs to be expressed, I let it out. I don't hold back any aspect of myself for fear that will make someone uncomfortable. Obviously within means I'm not hurting anyone, but there's so many ways that I used to make myself small to make other people uncomfortable, and I'm so overdoing that. There's nothing in me that is allowing that to happen anymore, and it so quickly is allowing me to attract those experiences and people in my life who are also stepping into themselves, who are also honoring their wildness, and who support me doing that same thing, and who support this new version of myself. Anytime that I feel like I'm losing touch with that intimacy, it's just becoming clearer and clearer, and I go out into the woods, or I take some deep breaths, or I go on my yoga mat and do some cat-cows, and I just allow myself to moan and breathe and sing, and instantly I feel connected once again to that sense of pure rapture within me. Magical things are able to unfold when we tap into the magic that is within us, that is us, and start playing with it. But yeah, I just wanted to share some of my latest sexual learnings and things that I've been really embodying and stepping into that have been making me feel so alive. And wherever you're at on your sexual journey is so valid, whether you're having it or not, or abstaining or asexual, or whatever you're discovering about yourself is so valid, and there's so much space for that to exist on this earth, and your truth is just inherently so worthy and beautiful. And I hope that you can breathe that in. All of life lately has just been a journey of moment to moment remembering and returning and breathing sacredness into every single thing that I do, whether I'm answering emails or applying for schools or writing an essay or on my yoga mat, breathing sacred, pure energy and love into everything that I'm doing, and remembering to return to my highest power and my highest good in each moment. Breathing things like that in, like, oh yeah, I am worthy of receiving pleasure. Oh yeah, this introverted side to me is worthy and valid. And oh yeah, my need to be alone is so okay and is part of my magic and power. It feels so good to return home to myself in that way throughout the day. Like, a million different times. But thank you so much for watching and for sharing this space with me, and I will see you in a video soon, I hope. Bye!